Okay, so I just got in, and there is a whole bunch of info that was just dropped by Declan as it pertains to crafting and base building. Now, if you guys know anything about me, I am here at this project entirely for base building. I didn't come on for FPS, I didn't come on for the spaceships, I didn't come on for some old guy named Chris Roberts. I joined this game because I was really interested in the base building aspect of it, the survival game aspect of it, and that's what I want to see flesh out the most, right? So there's a lot of big info that dropped today from Declan. He's the guy that usually shows the crafting and base building stuff. And there were a couple of different threads he responded to today. And honestly, a lot of good info, but also a bit more questions than answers in some regards. So let's get into it. So the first thing he said, the first question here was crafting question. In the SitCon demo, you showed placing one SCU boxes into a section of the crafting fabricator that appeared to support up to 2 SCU. But if a blueprint requires 6 SCU of iron and 4 SCU of copper, and I only have those materials stored in a 32 SCU container, or only have them stored in 32 SCU containers, how would that work in practice? Also in 2024 crafting Q&A, you mentioned that some fabricators can output to a cargo grid. Will we also be able to input resources directly from a cargo grid to our ships or our ship's inventory? Now, what this guy is referencing in this second one was from 2024 when they showed all of that base building stuff, how you can craft and then put it directly on the freight elevator at your base. What he is referencing is this thing here. This is the crafting table that they showed at CitizenCon. And this is them placing 2 boxes physically in this thing and crafting something. Now, when I see this boxes, because they made it very clear this is the first implementation of crafting, this is just kind of like your little small workbench that you can take with you and just craft really small things like guns and armor and stuff on the go, right? So you can just put a couple boxes. These recipes probably won't require more than like 4 SCU of material or something, but either way, you can load it, whatever. The question is, why couldn't we just load this straight from our local inventory? So that's what the guy's asking. So let's see what Declan has to say. Declan responds, hello. For the tech preview, the fabricator can input and output from your local inventory if it is within your hangar. All right, so if the fabricator is in your hangar, you can just straight up access your hangar inventory, which is why that clip was so weird for them to show in the hangar. Like if they would have just shown that clip like somewhere out in the wilds of Hurston, I don't think people would have gotten as like flustered about it or like concerned. Because I got concerned because they're in the hangar yet still doing that. So I just assumed you couldn't do it anywhere else, right? Or any way else, excuse me. But here he's clarifying you can use your local inventory. I assume this would also apply to your base, right? If you build a base and you have this fabricator on the base, I would assume it can use the base's local inventory as well. So in your example with the 232 SU containers of iron and copper, so long as you have them stored away in your freight elevator, they'll appear as materials to select within the UI. Beyond tech preview, yes, it will be more flexible, being able to connect to a ship cargo grid / inventory for input of materials and output of items. Thanks, Declan. Okay, so this is the scope beyond this initial playtest, right? Which entails like base building and stuff. A lot of this is in reference to this initial test, which is again just that workbench and weapons and armor. That's really it. We're not talking ships or bases or anything like that just yet. So this is huge. So we're gonna before we continue, let's kind of watch this clip a little bit, and then we'll go on to the next responses. But I kind of just want to refresh your memory on what they said pertaining to this little crafting table, as I like to call it. But yeah, that's huge. So if you're building in your base, you put this down anywhere in your hangar or in your base, and you can use the local inventory there to craft whatever. You don't have to move it box by box. Huge news. All right, let's just watch this clip and then we'll move on.
System yet, we'll be using the existing ones. Those will pass the quality through into the refined materials. which you can then take to your crafting machine and start making your personal items. Once you have your blueprint and your quality materials that you've refined, then you can put them together on the item fabricator. This will be pretty much what we showed in last year's Citizen Con.
And it should be clear this isn't the be-all, end-all of this, because, like, how are you going to fit anything over, like, a size 2 ship weapon in here, right? That's a ship weapon.
With the UI letting you assign your quality resources to different aspects of the item. Once you're happy with what you see on the preview, you'll be able to click to craft, and it'll get queued up, and your result will be produced sometime later.
Nice.
You'll be able to get the new crafting machine from shops in most landing zones. You'll be able to bring it up on your freight elevator and use it in your personal hangar, or tractor beam it around and stick it on a ship if you want to use it from there.
There'll be a small amount of blueprint.
That's Declan, this guy here.
You get credited to your account just to test and mess around, but the vast majority of them will be earned through missions, and then you can use that blueprint to craft the item that it is that you've got the blueprint for. So it should be a good reason to go and test all the different various missions in the game.
I don't think he answered any questions on blueprints. That was something I was very curious about.
The advantage of crafting your own items is...
Alright, so let's move on. So next question. Oh, he did. Okay, cool. I actually haven't even read this one yet. Alright, Declan Holmes. Crafting blueprints and resource persistence. Hi, with crafting tier 0, I have 2 questions dealing with persistence. Will the crafting blueprints be something that gets bound to our accounts, similar in nature to earnables in-game, like event rewards, etc., or will they be more like items we earn through gameplay like Wicklow, one being a lot more easier to lose than the other? Also, with minables / materials for crafting, will those be moved to persist between patches because of, I guess he meant as of now, things we mine disappear between patches? Thanks. Okay. This is more of a bigger question having to do with LTP and the issues there, but I think they've made it clear that once you get a blueprint, it's attached to your character. But I don't think the long-term goal is to have it be attached to your account. That's not going to be the case. But if you saw the the SEL with Benoit, they're going to change how LTP works and make it a lot better. But let's see what Declan says here. Hello. Yes, the LTP issues with resources is looking to be addressed. For blueprints, they will persist through patches, but are not permanently bound to your account like event rewards. Okay, so if there was ever to be a full wipe, they would be lost. The exception to this rule is some cosmetic blueprints. Interesting. Okay, so the answer is somewhere in the middle. The blueprint is tied to your account, so I don't think there's going to be any like blueprint sharing or anything. At least that's not how it seems right now. And it's supposed to persist through LTP, but so are a lot of other things, and they don't. I would assume once LTP is fixed and they have this new system, then your blueprints will stick with you forever until there's like an actual intended wipe, and then you'll lose them. The long-term goal with cosmetics and paints is to convert them into a blueprint so they are no longer physicalized at a location. Oh. They're gonna convert cosmetics and paints to blueprints so they're not physicalized. I actually really like that. So you have to craft them every time you want them. Or bound to an entity like weapons and armor. Oh! Does that mean if you bought a weapon in the store, it's gonna turn into a blueprint? Is that what he's confirming here? If one of the items that you earned in an event is converted to be item plus cosmetic blueprint, then that cosmetic blueprint will of course still be permanently account bound. Oh, so they're gonna separate weapon and cosmetic. I like that. Just to be very clear, a cosmetic blueprint does not craft the item itself. It just allows for that cosmetic to be applied to the item via the crafting UI. So if you earned an event armor with a cool red skin, you could then craft / find / trade for a better version of that armor later on and apply your cool red event skin to it. Thanks, Declan. Really cool. Man, you got me excited with the cosmetics and paint stuff. One of the largest hassles right now is going back to my home location whenever I want to change my ship skin. Also, my patchy ritual of summon perpetually ritual of summoning every ship at home, put on the skins I want for them, then claim them at an orbital station. Being able to avoid that would be amazing. Nice. That's actually huge. Big takeaway here, honestly, is the fact that the goal is to move cosmetics to blueprints. And the fact that he specified weapon and armor cosmetics separate from the actual gun is a really big deal. How you doing, Space? We're covering all the new info about crafting and base building from Declan. A lot of juicy stuff. All right, let's jump on to the last one, which this is the one that caused me a lot of questions. I even left a question here because he kind of, there's just so many doors left open for abuse with this, and like, yeah, this is like the most finicky thing about base building right now, and it's about rating and stuff. Okay, so this Mekl individual, he asks, homesteading / land claims, how will this work? Really curious to hear the development plans on how instancing / sharding, or just simply in general the devs plan to handle homesteading with the current server architecture, especially when it comes to raiding or defending / attacking across shards and regions. Now, Declan had already answered this in a previous SCL, where it would be, you know, you can access everything from different shards, but if you want to raid it, you have to be on the shard where the owner is, which is where my question comes in. But let's read Declan's answer. Hello. Within a region, example Europe, a copy of every land claim / base will exist on all shards, so the same land claim cannot be taken by two different people. Assuming the owner has opened up their base to the public, you can access their player-run store on any copy of the base, or use their crafting / refining facilities if you have permission to do so. For the stores, the inventory of what's for sale is shared across all shards. However, when it comes to raiding a base, this can only occur on a single shard. Which shard this happens to be is dynamic depending on the circumstances. The easiest example is, if the owner of the base is online and at their base, then the shard they're on is the only shard where this base can be raided. Kind of weird, but okay. If you attempt to attack a base and you are not on the correct shard, then you'll be given the option to transfer to the correct shard. Likewise, party or org members arriving to defend would be transferred to the shard where it's kicking off, so they're able to help. Thanks. Okay, so I'm picturing like a notification popping up. Hey, your base is under attack. Or hey, your org is attacking this base. Do you want to back them up? And then you'll be transferred over. My issue with this is all of the weird exploiting that can come from this. So here's the first question. Assuming shard population will have a theoretical and practical maximum, what happens when an org can maintain a population on a given shard that is equal to that maximum and can keep their base owner guy on that shard? Does that make that base unraidable? This is one of the questions that popped in my head. Like, if you can manage to make your org 600 people and you just get all 600 people on that shard, or the majority of it, is it just unraidable? That's a bit more of an extreme than my question, but that is a good question. To find mine, we're going to have to dig quite a bit, I presume. Let me refresh this. But basically, my question was like, what if an org just makes an account to build the base, and that account just never ever logs on? Does that make the base unraidable forever? You know? Yeah, so what if the owner of the base is not online, or say an org makes an alt account just to be the owner of the base, and that account never ever logs on? Is that base just unraidable, to be unable to be rated forever? That's kind of what I'm wondering, because it seems like it goes solely by the owner of the shard, of the base. But if you have like a big org of like hundreds of people, is it really going to be dictated by that one owner? The only thing I could see for this is like, if there's a system where the shard that has the most org members, that's where the base can be rated. That's what I'm assuming they'll do. but Declan did not specify that. So I would really, really appreciate an answer to this question here, because that's kind of my main concern. And I had thought of that back then, but them still not specifying that and doubling down on the owner, like singular owner, kind of has me worried. But we'll see. So yeah, that's everything for the base building crafting updates on Spectrum from Declan. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we will catch you on the next one. Catch you on the flip flop. Peace out.